and welcome to Friday Friends. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Carly, and we're Next Chapter Home Team.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Welcome. We are with Jon Nissen today with Woodland Custom Homes. Welcome, Jon. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your company and when you got started?
Woodland Custom Home Builders is my company. I started it in 2014. At that time, you couldn't go get a loan, so I, had to cash my 401k out. Honestly, took everything I had and just went all in and did my first spec house. Ever since then, I pretty much doubled my volume year after year. The plan was just to build a handful of houses out of my home office. I grew past that point, and now we have 7 employees and probably average about 30 to 40 closings a year. Our price ranges for right now from 219,000 is our lowest price house right now for sale for new construction, and we go all the way up to, I don't like to get into more than 800,000. 700 somewhere in there is kind of where we cut it off at.
Jon's going to tell us 5 things to consider if you want to build.
Number 1, pick your lender. 2, plan ahead and have a realistic timeline. 3, know your budget, and that's what you can afford, not what the bank will loan you. 4, find your lot first before you get hung up on a blueprint. And 5 is square footage is not as important as how you live, meaning don't get hung up on you have to have a 2,200 square foot ranch or a 3,000 square foot 2-story. More of look at your lifestyle and match the house to that, and the square footage will be there. And lastly, just to kind of wrap it up, just keep an open mind throughout the whole process and let it develop as it comes.
So, Jon, let's talk about the lender. Why is it important to find your lender first and, more importantly, find a local lender?
So with our experience, we have the best luck with local lenders. Most of them are smaller. Credit unions are a good one. But ask your realtor or builder who they like to use. They're gonna steer you in the right direction, and you're gonna find your costs are gonna be lower. With our experience, your rates are gonna be lower. Lenders do have some flexibility on the rate. The biggest thing is you're gonna get the service, the local service. What you'll find with local lenders is they know the market, they know the realtor, they know the builder, they know the process, and they're gonna do whatever it takes to get you in that house. They care because they have repeat business with your builder and your realtor. And we just find way more success, and it's easier to use local and people that have relationships and have an interest in servicing not only you, but your realtor or builder.
Then you mentioned to plan ahead and have a realistic time frame.
So planning ahead, depending on the house you want, the complexity and the customization, but you can't plan too far ahead, meaning getting the house budget right, getting the print right, getting the lot you want, the location you want. That changes a lot, but start interviewing builders ahead of time. And even if you're not building for a year ahead, we start the process all the time where we start developing the blueprint, we start getting the idea. There's more compromise time. It's more fun for the person building, the kids, the husbands, wives, whatever. It just makes it an enjoyable process for everyone along. There's not all the pressure.
Well, and I find too with my clients who want to build, well, I want this lot. Well, does this lot work? Well, I don't necessarily know all the site prep that we need to do, so having a builder in mind. So developing the lender, realtor, and builder relationships early helps that planning process, knowing that timeline, so we know what we're looking for in the land, so you know what you need to do and how long it's going to take to set up what needs set up. And that also goes into cost.
Sure.
The cost to put in a septic and a well and clear trees if needed.
I mean, that's a great point, and that's the biggest thing too, is with a subdivision lot, there's less uncertainty. I mean, those taps are there, but not always. There's some hidden secrets. So the builder will vet that. They'll also vet the restrictions. So we're not going to get you in a neighborhood that the restrictions are something that is under your budget or over your budget. So matching that up. Off-site's a huge one. Those, you need to have a lot of time to plan ahead. There's a lot of groundwork. There's a lot of permitting. You got to go through the engineer's office, and there can be a lot of delays there. Planning ahead, and that will create a realistic budget of where the whole project's going to end up. You buying a piece of land, not knowing the development cost of the land, buying that land, we've had people come in, they don't realize that it's gonna be an extra 40 or 50 or 80,000, whatever it is, to get it ready to build. Now they're looking to sell the property. Getting with a builder and picking them out ahead of time, and he should gladly like to vet the land and make sure that it's something that he wants to build on or that's gonna be possible. So that's the whole thing with the realistic timeline and planning ahead. You can't plan too far ahead. So don't think that you have to walk into the builder's office and start. He doesn't want you to start next month. Everyone's busy. So, we want the time to go through and start developing things, and you're gonna have a better process, smoother process, and you're gonna get what you want easier.
Well, in the planning ahead, not just for the lot and where you wanna build and what you can build, but then once kind of that's all set up and we've got a piece of land and we're ready to build, what's the timeline for a build right now?
Right now, the average house has taken us 7 to 8 months, and that's from the time we dig to the time we move in. Pre-pandemic, that was 5 months. So we've added a lot of time on it. A bigger house, the more custom, that might go up to 9 or 10. And if it's smaller, more of a track house, you might get down to the 6-month time frame. Plan on 8 months as the build, and I would plan at least 90 days to set up pre. So you're almost talking a year-long process is what I would plan on. And time goes quick, but that's the reality of where we're at. You don't want to rush the process for many reasons. So give yourself the time. The builders want the time to plan ahead. That way you can develop an entire package.
Knowing your budget's important, and you kind of touched on it with budget for the land,
Yeah.
budget for making sure the land's ready to build, but just knowing your budget for the house aspect as well.
You start with a builder, you really need to know before you get land, you need to know your true budget and be honest. The builder doesn't want to know just to drive to that budget, make more money, and that's where I think a lot of people are set back if that question gets asked too early in the process. I've had a lot of people comment on that where, they felt like the builder, where they weren't building an expensive enough house, and that's not the case with most people. But they need to know what your true budget is, because you obviously don't want to buy a $200,000 lot and put a $200,000 house on it. So there is a formula that you want to stick within. Just like you don't want to start planning around a lot or a budget that isn't big enough for your lifestyle. So knowing your budget, being honest about your budget, it's a formula that all has to work together. The lot, the timing, the financing, and the cost of the building. Obviously your taste of how customized you want it and what you want to put in the house. So knowing the budget ahead of time and setting expectation just makes it a smoother process.
So knowing the budget obviously is important because, like you said, you don't want to buy a $200,000 lot and build a $200,000 house if
Yes.
you want a $400,000 house. That's the
Yes.
budget we can't buy, spend half of it on land.
Correct.
That goes into our next two. Why is it important to find the lot first?
Finding a lot first is definitely the way that I prefer. Don't get hung up on the blueprints, because too many times the print might not fit on the lot, or it might not maximize the lot you have. View, maybe there's a view of the woods or a lake or a river or whatever it might be. So you want to find the lot and then fit the house to the lot, because you can't change the shape of the lot. You can't change, what you're looking at, your views of the lot, but you can change the blueprint. We've had people come in with a blueprint and then it's too wide to fit on any lots, or it's too deep. So find the lot first, design your print to the lot, so you're taking advantage of the lot's attributes.
And then along with designing the print for the lot, also don't get hung up on square footage.
That's one of the biggest things too. I tell people right off the bat is, everyone they come in, what kind of house do you want? And they say a 2,000 square foot ranch. So what you want to think about is, what's your lifestyle? How many kids do you have? Do they need bedrooms? Are you an outdoorsy person? Do you want a formal dining room? Do you need an office? Kind of think about your lifestyle, and that's what you want to emphasize on, and build your house around that. There's a lot of lost square footage in a house. A house can have a lot of square footage, but you walk into it and it feels small. Reverse. My thing when I develop my plans, and I think my history helps me with this, is I try to cut square footage out anywhere I can. You want to put the square footage where it's important to the people where they live. More of list your lifestyle, what you need out of the house. And that kind of falls into a situation we're at now, where building costs have gone up, interest rates have gone up, so the whole cost has went up. So what we're kind of trying to gear is smaller square footage, smarter square footage, and we're also finding we're incorporating finished basements with the build. Finding people are coming in to do a contract and, you know, instead of blowing up their ranch to fit an office, you know, we might do a 9-foot basement, throw some egress window wells down there, put an office down there. You can maybe do a half bath, a rec room, a flex room. Finishing the basement is the least expensive square footage in a house. And you can make it look just like your house. You can do lookout windows. I mean, you can really make it so it's not like an afterthought. And that's kind of the goal. So you can save on the main house, and that little extra money, I think you get more bang for your buck in the basement.
Yeah, because it's cheaper to build up than to build out.
It's cheaper to build up, out, or down.
Or
Your foundation's there, go down to the basement. And that's a good point too, where depending on your lifestyle, what you want, building up is definitely the least expensive. It's not only your square footage of your living space, but it's everything under roof. So it's your foundation and your roof. So covered porches are a huge cost. You know, people come in and say, oh, hey, this is a 2,000 square foot house, and they have a full wraparound front porch, and they got a big back porch. In a lot of instances, covered porches can cost similar to the square footage of living space. That's why you have to really understand what your lifestyle is. Do you really need these porches? Are you going to utilize them?
Wow, and these tips will definitely help them start thinking about it probably a year from now.
Yeah,
Think about
absolutely.
it now if you want to build the next year.
You know, absolutely. And during the whole process, keep an open mind on everything. Don't fall in love with a lot or land. It's not the last lot in the world that's for you. I know that personally. In my life, we've went through a few lots and lost out on a couple lots. But, you know, it all worked out for the better. Same thing with building. Don't be closed-minded. Have an open mind with its lot, if it's the style of house. Make sure it fits your lifestyle for the long run. Design is another thing. You don't want to force something in a house. Anytime somebody forces something in a house, it doesn't work out. Keep an open mind. Things change, things happen. Just make it better. Use it as an opportunity to improve. Keep an open mind during the whole process. That part will make it more fun and enjoyable for everybody.